research suggests that 2 milligrams The research suggests that 2 milligrams
All right, ladies and gentlemen, listen up, listen up. Welcome to Phoebus High School, where our motto is, let's see if y'all still remember this. Our motto is greatness. Y'all can do better, come on. Our motto is greatness. Come on, man. One more time. Y'all louder than this in the cafeteria. Our motto is greatness. That's better, that's better. All right, so today, we have some important information to present to you all. One pill can kill. We have a DEA agent, Mr. Hartig. Round of applause for Mr. Hartig. We also have, what was her last name? Ms. Pittman? Nurse Pittman as well, who will be duly presenting to you guys today. So, we're going to get started in just a minute. I need you guys to lock in and pay attention. This is important information. You guys are young. As youth, sometimes we do silly things, but the price is very heavy in today's age to do those types of things. So this presentation is all about awareness. Understand? All about awareness. So you're knowledgeable about things that are going on around you. All right, so without further ado, I will hand it off to Mr. Hartig. Thank you.
Good morning. Hope everybody is doing well. I want to thank Phoebus High School and your principals and your teachers and the staff for allowing us to come here today and speak with you. It really means that they care about you and they care about your well-being, and it literally means that they care about whether you live or die. My name is Patrick Hartig. I am the Assistant Special Agent in charge of the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration in Norfolk. I've been in law enforcement for nearly 30 years now. I'm from the area. I hired on with the DEA. I worked the first several years of my career on the southwest border. Then I worked in Northern Virginia in our Special Operations Division, primarily in an international group. And then I transferred to Norfolk, and I've also worked in our Hampton office. So I say all that to tell you this. Everything we're going to talk about today, I can tell you with confidence because this is real-world examples. We're going to talk about actual investigations that we have conducted, the DEA here in our area, the Hampton Roads area. And it's very important that you pay attention because the one pill can kill, that's actually what it means. You make one decision in your life to take one pill, and it could end your life. It happens almost every day, somewhere in this country. Tens of thousands of people have died in the United States because of fentanyl overdoses, and thousands of people in our area have over the last several years. It's a very serious situation. It's the greatest, deadliest drug threat that we've faced in our lifetime. And all of you are growing up in this environment. And it's probably going to get worse, and we're going to talk about that when we talk about synthetic drugs. So the DEA, if you're not familiar with us, it's the Drug Enforcement Administration. We are essentially the federal police department for all things drugs. So all we investigate is drugs, guns, money, and violence. So again, everything we're going to talk about today, I can say with confidence because this is what we're doing every single day. It's really important information. We don't do it alone. We have partners with all the local police departments and the state police. We have task force. There's a task force officer from the Hampton Police Department assigned to the DEA in Hampton. His job is solely to make your neighborhoods and communities safer and free from drugs. So what is fentanyl? If you're not familiar with fentanyl, it is a Schedule II synthetic opioid. What that means legally is that there's a medical application for fentanyl. Fentanyl can be legally prescribed, typically for end-of-life care or serious, serious pain. It is a painkiller. All the fentanyl we're going to talk about today is not medical fentanyl. It's all illicit street drugs. None of it's medical. It's all illegal drugs sold and distributed on the streets. That's all we're going to talk about today. It's approximately 80 to 100 times stronger than morphine, highly addictive, highly potent, highly deadly. The precursor chemicals all come from China. It's manufactured in Mexico. We'll talk about that in detail. The side effects, similar to morphine, it has a depressive effect on your respiratory system. When you die from a fentanyl overdose or a poisoning, basically what happens is there's enough fentanyl in your brain just tells your lungs to stop working. You take the pill, you go to sleep, you never wake up. That's how people are dying from fentanyl overdoses and poisonings. And for the purpose of this presentation, if I say overdose, that means someone took a pill or used fentanyl and knew they were using it and died. If I say poisoning, it means someone was tricked into doing it. And that's what's happening with these counterfeit pills, especially among your age group. Teenagers, young adults, you're the most susceptible. And you're being targeted by the Mexican cartels in terms of marketing. There are 800 theoretical fentanyl analogs. What that means is that everything is transitioned into synthetic drugs. When I say synthetic drugs, it means it's made in a laboratory. It's all chemistry. There are no more plant-based drugs, at least hardly, right? So we already know that there is synthetic marijuana, and we already know there's experimentation with synthetic cocaine. When those two drugs transition to synthetic completely, there'll be no more plant-based drugs. For example, heroin. If you're not familiar with heroin, heroin comes from a plant, a poppy plant. You can only make that plant but so potent. You can change the soil, maybe move environments. You're only going to make heroin but so potent. Fentanyl and other synthetic drugs, when you make it in a laboratory, you can do whatever you want. You can make it as deadly as you want. You can change molecules. You can change analysis. It becomes more potent and more deadly because it's made in a laboratory. And that's the world you're growing up in. Everything is going to transition to synthetic drugs. And what that means for you is it's more dangerous. So how does fentanyl get here to the United States? All the precursor chemicals, they're all manufactured in China. Not a single gram of illicit fentanyl in the United States was manufactured from a precursor chemical that was made in the United States, all from China. China has hundreds, if not thousands, of chemical producing companies capable of producing the precursor chemicals necessary for the production of fentanyl every single day. And they do it for pennies on the dollar. All those precursor chemicals are all smuggled into Mexico, primarily on maritime containers. And once those precursor chemicals are in Mexico, they're transported to clandestine laboratories, primarily controlled by two Mexican cartels, the Sinaloa cartel and the CJ&G cartel. Those cartels control the vast majority of fentanyl in the United States. Those are actual pictures from a clandestine fentanyl laboratory in Mexico. And what you need to know about these laboratories is that they're unregulated, filthy, disgusting, uncontrolled laboratories. The objective is not quality control. It's mass production and profit. This is not a normal pharmaceutical company where there's controls put in place to make sure what they're manufacturing is safe. This is mass production. They don't care about quality control. Millions of counterfeit pills are being manufactured every single day. One pill could have 1 milligram of fentanyl in it. One could have 10 milligrams of fentanyl. You're not going to have any idea because the Mexican cartels don't care about you or your families. These clandestine laboratories are disgusting. I promise you wouldn't eat anything from this laboratory, so you shouldn't take anything from the laboratory either. But again, to reiterate, it's completely uncontrolled. You can't trust anything you get if you're buying it off the street. And once the drugs are actually produced, and typically in the counterfeit pill form or in powder form, those are the two forms we deal mostly with fentanyl. It's all smuggled into the United States. All right, sorry about that. Is that better? Can you hear? Good? All right. So once it's smuggled into the United States, all the drugs are primarily coming directly from Mexico and directly from the southwest border, directly to Hampton Roads. Actually, directly to Hampton sometimes. We know that from our investigations. And that's different for us from an investigative standpoint. In the past, some of these drugs would go to transshipment cities like Houston or Baltimore, New York, Atlanta, someplace like that. And these drug trafficking organizations would then add volume to the drugs, right? So they're doing that to make more volume and more profit. But at the same time, it would dilute the drugs. That's not happening anymore. The local drug dealers here in Hampton and Newport News and in Hampton Roads area, they're dealing directly with cartel people in Mexico or people along the southwest border. The drugs come directly from Mexico, directly to your neighborhood. So what that means is a more potent, more deadly drug for you because it's not being diluted somewhere else. So it's more dangerous. That better? Did y'all hear the last part or no? Okay. So again, it's more dangerous for you. If you make the bad decision of taking a counterfeit pill, I promise you it came directly from that laboratory in Mexico. No stops anywhere else. From the laboratory right here to your neighborhood. In 2023, the DEA seized nearly 70 million counterfeit pills that contain fentanyl and 11,000 pounds of fentanyl. So that just shows you how much fentanyl is available in the United States. It's widely available, so you have to be careful. This year, we've already seized nearly 33 million fentanyl pills and close to 7,000 pounds of fentanyl. We know now that the lethal dose for fentanyl is 2 milligrams. 2 milligrams is a tiny, minute amount. It's grains of salt. Tiny amount. Even though it's tiny, it's enough to kill you. That's how dangerous this is. And this is a story from one of our investigations. It happened here on the peninsula. There was a residence that was involved in the distribution of fentanyl. In the residence was a 2-year-old boy. The 2-year-old boy at some point was exposed to fentanyl. Poisoned, rushed to the hospital, spent 8 months on life support, and then died. 2-year-old baby didn't accidentally take a fentanyl pill or a counterfeit pill, didn't ingest it in some way, was just in a house involved with the distribution of fentanyl. So that's how deadly this is, how serious it is. So we know from our testing, our scientific testing, that 7 out of 10, and sometimes depending on the volume, 5 out of 10, of all the pills that we seize at the DEA contain a lethal amount of fentanyl. Right? So whether it's 5 out of 10 or 7 out of 10, the reality is the odds are against you. So out of the 70 million pills that we seized that one year, 7 out of 10 or 5 out of 10 had enough fentanyl in it to kill you. It's dangerous. The odds are against you. We also know that the leading cause of death for Americans now, between 18 and 45, is drug poisoning, primarily because of fentanyl. Drugs are killing more people than guns and more people than vehicles. More people die every year of a fentanyl poisoning than they do of firearms violations or motor vehicle accidents that result in a fatality. More than guns, more than vehicles. The one thing that's really important to know when it comes to these counterfeit pills is please only take a pill that was prescribed to you by your doctor and dispensed to you by a legitimate pharmacy. If it comes from anywhere else, it's not legitimate, and it probably contains fentanyl, and it probably contains enough fentanyl to kill you. You can't take a pill from your friend, your acquaintance, your friend, your local drug dealer, nobody. Just prescribed to you from a doctor and dispensed to you from a legitimate pharmacy. Legitimate pharmacy. And I don't mean online. There's no such thing as online pharmacies. That's not how you get pills. From a doctor in a legitimate pharmacy.
The research suggests that 2 milligrams of fentanyl can cause an overdose. The average pill that we see and analyze here has more than that in it. One pill can very much lead to an overdose. So 2 milligrams is a very small amount. It's literally just a few grains. If you look at a plain sugar packet, and that sugar packet has 1 gram of sugar in it, using the math of 2 milligrams, that sugar packet can kill 500 people if it were fentanyl. I want you to think about what 500 people is. 500 people could be your senior class. 500 people could be half of your school. It could be a part of your town.
All right, so we play that video to put the crisis into perspective, right? So think about that. One sugar packet, tiny sugar packet, if it was fentanyl, can kill 500 people. That's easily everybody in this auditorium, right? How many people in the senior class here? Maybe half? Half of the senior class? So again, tiny amount is enough to kill you. The one thing I can tell you is that these Mexican cartels and these drug traffickers, they are very good at counterfeiting these pills. I assure you, you will not know the difference. We as DEA agents don't know the difference. Police officers don't know the difference. Our DEA chemists don't know the difference. You're not going to know the difference. That's why it's important not to take any pill that didn't come from a doctor or a pharmacy. They are very good at counterfeiting these pills. These are 2 pills, counterfeit M30s, oxycodone pills. If you were given those 2 pills, would you know which one to take? Would you know which one was real? Would you know which one would kill you? The one on the right is a counterfeit pill that has enough fentanyl in it to kill you. They're very good at this. You're not going to know the difference. When the DEA first released this graphic, the one on the left, it came out without any words on it, and I actually thought the pill on the right was the real pill. Do you think that pill looks better than the actual authentic pill? The one on the right is fake. That's the one that has fentanyl in it. So again, it just demonstrates that they're going to make these pills and they're going to look exactly like they're real, but they're not. In the graphic on the right, that's 2 milligrams of fentanyl relative to a penny. It's also a misconception that only painkillers are being counterfeited by these Mexican cartels and drug dealers. Those are Xanax bars. They are counterfeiting all kinds of drugs. So you need to know that. It's not just painkillers. That's a misconception. All kinds of drugs. And what is happening because of these counterfeit drugs is it's expanded the pool of victims. And what I mean by that is more people who wouldn't typically be involved in drug use are dying because of these counterfeit pills. And from one of our investigations, this happened. There was a woman who was a domestic abuse survivor here locally. She was not a drug addict. She didn't use drugs. She was in an abusive relationship. She was a survivor of that. But because of her domestic abuse, she had anxiety and depression. One day, in order to try to deal with that, she called somebody. She got what she thought was a Xanax pill, just like that. She took it, and 2 hours later, she was dead. She wasn't a drug addict. She was a domestic abuse survivor who took a counterfeit Xanax bar and died. And the one on the right is a fake pill. This is also important. Those are Adderall pills. This has a lot to do with people in your age group, teenagers and young adults, who think they could take Adderall and it's going to give them energy. It's going to help them stay up late and study for tests and things of that nature. Don't do that. All right? That's not the way really Adderall works. And it certainly doesn't work if it's not prescribed to you. But these Adderall pills, the fake ones, are widely available online. So we know for a fact from our investigations that kids your age and kids that are in college are going online and buying Adderall pills that they think are real for the sole purpose of studying at night. And they get this pill from online, it gets mailed to them. It's not an actual Adderall pill, it's a pill that has fentanyl in it, and they too are dying. For no reason. These kids just want to stay up and study at night. Take a pill and they die. So keep that in mind as you're out socially or you encounter these types of events. Don't trust any pills that come from the street. You can't trust any of it. All right, what I'd like to do here is demonstrate to y'all local seizures that we've conducted. All right, these are seizures that happen here in Hampton Roads, so that you know that it's in your neighborhoods, it's in your communities, it's not happening somewhere else. That's 13 kilograms of fentanyl. If you're not familiar with a kilogram, it's 2.2 pounds. So that's like 27 pounds of fentanyl from one seizure here in Hampton Roads. 1 kilogram is 1 million milligrams. So that's 13 million milligrams. 2 milligrams is a lethal dose. How many lethal doses is that? 6.5 million. One seizure here in Hampton Roads is 6.5 million lethal doses from one seizure here locally. That's 6.5 million. There's only 8 million people in the entire state of Virginia. That's 13,000 counterfeit M30 oxycodone pills. 13,000 of them. That's an up-close picture. If someone gave you that pill, would you know the difference? Would you feel comfortable taking it? I hope not. That's 13,000. That's not even our largest single seizure of pills. Our largest seizure is over 100,000 pills, counterfeit pills, at one time. 100,000 pills. That is a kilogram of fentanyl seized here in Hampton Roads. For us to conduct our investigations, when we make a seizure like this, we have to send the drugs to our laboratory. We have our own DEA laboratory. And they test the drugs, and they send us a lab analysis, a chemical analysis of what we seize, because we can't charge somebody with a drug unless we know definitively what the drug is. So that's our lab analysis. That's a picture of the actual lab analysis that we got back on this kilo of fentanyl. The first line is one of the countless analogs for fentanyl that we talked about, all the theoretical differences. The bottom line is xylazine. Does anybody know what xylazine is? Xylazine is not a controlled substance, but it's not allowed for human use. Xylazine should never be in the body of any human being. It's used by veterinarians to tranquilize large animals for medical procedures. But here it is in the fentanyl that we're seizing here locally. And there are some statistics that say of all the fentanyl that we're seizing across the United States, sometimes up to 50% of what we seize has xylazine in it. Xylazine is a tranquilizer, highly dangerous, and they're adding it to fentanyl. So it's not bad enough that these Mexican cartels and drug dealers are selling fentanyl. They're also putting xylazine in it. If you do research on xylazine, if you take enough xylazine, it'll actually rot the skin off of your body. That's how bad it is. You can research it. It happened in Philadelphia. Nasty drug, should never be used for human use. But here it is, routinely in the drugs that we seize. And when we talk about Narcan, which is a substance that reverses the impacts of opioids, it has no impact on xylazine. So you could take that, be administered Narcan, and not necessarily survive because there's enough xylazine in your body to kill you. We also know that most of the investigations we conduct that involve fentanyl distribution, there's always violence associated with it. So this is routinely what we encounter when we conduct these investigations. The point here is, don't be around drug dealing, because there's a lot of violence associated with it. There's a lot of shootings involved, there's a lot of guns involved, and a lot of innocent people get caught up in all of that. It happens all the time. If you're in your neighborhood and these drug dealers start shooting at each other with these types of weapons, you're in danger, right? And this is what we seize frequently in our investigations. And that's $900,000 in cash, all from the distribution of fentanyl here in Hampton Roads. So fentanyl distribution is a violent crime. If you're going to sell somebody a pill that you know is going to kill them, that's violent, in my opinion. But additionally, you have all these firearms involved, and all these drug dealers are shooting each other. So it's just a warning to not be associated or involved with any of those people. We also know from our chemical analysis that, unfortunately, fentanyl is in everything. So every time, again, that we seize a drug, we send it to our laboratory. The laboratory sends us a lab analysis. And what we know definitively is fentanyl is now in cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, ecstasy and Molly, K2 and spice. It's in weed, and it's in vapes. All right, it is in everything. You can't say to yourself, I'm going to avoid fentanyl and smoke weed, because there's fentanyl in weed. We conducted an investigation here on the peninsula, and Over the course of several days, there was, I believe, 12 overdoses. 6 of them were fatal. Half the people died. All the people who died, tragically, had one thing in common. They were chronic weed smokers. Didn't use fentanyl, didn't use opioids, bought weed like they normally did. Weed was laced with fentanyl, and it cost them their life. So the message is, it is in everything. It is everywhere. All right, social media. I'm sure everybody in the school in this room knows more about phones than I do, but we live in a world now with the right apps and the right connections. You can go to your phone, you can order drugs, you can pay for drugs, you can have drugs sent right to your front door, all from your phone. You can buy drugs, never say a word, just send these emojis and find whatever drug you want. Right? It's dangerous. It's bad enough to buy drugs, fentanyl, from a local drug dealer. It's worse to buy it offline. You have no idea who you're dealing with when you're online. No idea. You have no idea what you're buying. You have no idea what you're getting. It is dangerous to buy drugs online. Once again, online pharmacies don't exist. That's not the way legitimate prescription drugs are typically dispensed. If someone online is telling you that they're going to send you drugs, they're not legitimate, because it's not the way it works. And we also know that these Mexican cartels, who have unlimited funding, it's billions of dollars a year that these Mexican cartels are generating. They are online with you. And they are online with you to exploit you, to take advantage of you, to sell you drugs. They have algorithms developed. They run online. And these algorithms are looking for certain keywords and phrases. So if you're online chatting and you say something to the effect of, I'm anxious today, I'm depressed today, I got hurt at sports, broke my ankle, something like that, these algorithms will then trigger off and they'll start direct messaging you. And they'll offer you drugs. It's not legitimate. They're not trying to be your friend. You can't buy drugs online. That's not the way it works. So be careful on the internet. We also know these drug cartels are specifically marketing to all of you, teenagers and young adults. They are marketing and looking at you. And they do this in a wide variety of ways, including making drugs look like this. That picture on the left, local seizure, I still don't even know what they were trying to sell that as. Those look like kids' vitamins. Right? But the one thing I can tell you about that pill, a pill from that bag killed a 16-year-old. That much I know for sure. Killed a 16-year-old, pill from that bag. The pills on the right, those are tie-dye, multicolored oxycodone pills. There is no legitimate reason to make a pill look like that unless they're trying to sell it to you or kids even younger than you. This is what they're doing. They're marketing to you. So be careful. Narcan, I want to talk quickly about Narcan. If you're not familiar with Narcan, it's a substance, it's a spray. You spray it in your nose. It reverses the impact of opioids. It has saved thousands of lives. It should be widely available. Everyone should have it or have access to it. It should be continued to be dispensed into the community. A very important part of this problem. However, I want to tell you a warning too. And the warning is, don't let Narcan be an excuse for you to use drugs. Narcan is not guaranteed to save your life. Not guaranteed. You can talk to police officers, EMS personnel who have administered Narcan 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, and it doesn't revive the victim. Not guaranteed to save your life. And what's happening is people your age are out at a party. Someone has pills and someone also has Narcan. And again, we know this for a fact because of our investigations. Some kid your age gets convinced to take a pill because they think that someone's going to revive them with Narcan or Narcan's going to work. And what is happening is these kids are taking these pills. Everyone panics because the kid passes out. Nobody uses the Narcan. And what happened in one particular investigation is these kids pick up the victim. They drive the victim to his parents' house. They dump him on the front porch. The parents find him the next morning dead. So don't let Narcan be an excuse to use drugs. Right? It's not, again, it's not 100% guaranteed to save your life. and you're not sure that it's even going to be administered if you're the victim. So be careful. All right, talking about emerging threats. This is a seizure that we made here in Hampton Roads. This is 4,000 pills, counterfeit pills. We seized these and we sent them to our laboratory. They didn't even know what it was, right? We had to send it to special testing. And when we got the lab analysis back from special testing, this is what we discovered. It's called nitazines. There were only a handful of seizures of nitazines in the whole country last year. One of them happened here locally. Nitazines is arguably 80% more deadly than fentanyl. More deadly. There are a lot of people that believe that Narcan won't even work on nitazines. Here it is, seized in our community. So to reiterate my point, all of you are growing up in a world where all of these things are changing. All the drugs are going to be more deadly and they're going to be more dangerous for you. So you have to make good decisions about your life. One pill, one decision actually can change your life. It can cause you to die. And here's an example of it. All right, this is a billboard campaign that we did with families impacted by fentanyl. I think the message speaks for itself. It is actually a grave mistake. It can cost your life. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Pittman, and it's very, very important that you listen to every word she says. She is here bravely and courageously enough to talk to all of you, to share her experience in the hopes that something she says might save your life. So please pay attention to her.
Yeah. Morning, guys. Sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice a little bit. So, my name is Cindy Pittman. I am a nurse here in Hampton at Kraft Elementary School. I'm a Hampton girl. My kids both attended school here in Hampton. My daughter graduated from Kickotan. My son was a student at Hampton High when he was last enrolled in person. First off, you guys are our third school in as many weeks, and I want to tell you I'm really proud of how you all were attentive to Agent Hardig's presentation, because at some of the other schools they weren't paying attention, and what he has to share with you might seem a little boring, but it's really important that you hear the message that he has about the dangers with fentanyl. I am not here to talk to you as a nurse today. I'm here to talk to you as a mom, as Will's mom. Will should have been celebrating his 20th birthday on August 15th of this year, but we lost him on Saturday, September 2nd of 2023, just 2 weeks after he had celebrated his 18th birthday. We didn't get to plan any graduation celebrations or see him get married and have a family. We won't know what his life would have turned into. He should be figuring out adulthood, working, maybe going on to school. He had been in an HVAC apprenticeship kind of VOTEC thing before he passed away. He should be texting me his silly, annoying things and driving his sister crazy. Planning our next snowboarding or beach adventure, all the things that we love to do together as a family, but he's not here. And what I want to share with you today is what brought me here today to talk to you. Will died from half of one of those blue pills that you saw in Agent Hardig's presentation, just half of one of those pills. And he didn't get to that because of what you think. He wasn't struggling with substance use disorder. He wasn't living a reckless life. He was a normal, everyday teenager, just like you guys, dealing with all the stresses, all the pressures, all the things that you all have to face on a daily basis. And you have more pressure because of social media and stuff too. As a matter of fact, after Will's investigation, after he passed away, they found out that most likely he and the friend that he split the pill with got what killed my son off of Snapchat. Will was very intelligent, very hardworking. He was a wonderful brother, and he was a wonderful uncle to his little niece, who was only a year and a half old at the time of his death. He had a really good heart, but he also had some anxiety. He had some struggles. He would get overwhelmed. Work was a lot. Emotions were a lot. But we talked. We talked about a lot of things too. And I can't stress to you how important it is that when you are feeling those overwhelmed emotions that get too big, or any of those things, that you turn to a person and not a pill, not a promise of something that's going to take those feelings away and make you feel a little bit better. Because one thing I can promise you is that you can die from that choice. So on Saturday, September 2nd, I say that's the day that forever changed my life, because my life now consists of a before Will, died, and after Will died. Because, parents aren't supposed to, we're not supposed to bury our children. We're not supposed to say goodbye to our children. But Will had been out in Virginia Beach the night before with friends. He had just bought his first car and just got his license. They believe that that's when they made the connection, he and his friend, who was still 17 at the time. And he went back to his dad's house after that. And on Saturday afternoon at around 6:30, his dad found him and the other boy in Will's room at his house. And when his dad called me, he had just found both of the boys, and Will was cold. He was dead. He had been gone for what we found out was probably about 2 hours. That was the last time that he was known to be alive. It was at 4:30 that day. His friend was able to be resuscitated, but Will was not. That what they had gotten was sold to them or given to them under the premise or the guise of being a Percocet. Will wouldn't have died from half of a legitimate Percocet. He wouldn't have died from probably 2 whole Percocets, but because it had fentanyl in it, he died. And when his toxicology and autopsy report came back, he had enough fentanyl in his system to kill several people. And the reason I want to talk to you a little bit more about that is because there's so much inconsistency in those things, it's not worth taking a chance. His friend lived that day, but it's because multiple reasons that the counterfeit pill that he took had less fentanyl in that part that he ingested versus what Will took. And our bodies all react differently to medications and stuff. I'm familiar with that as a nurse. Nobody reacts the same way to any one thing. But I can tell you, as a mother and as a family, we are just devastated in the wake of losing him. So don't do that to your family. Don't do it to yourself. You guys, I am here to share with you because I genuinely care about you and your future. That's why I do what I do every day as a school nurse. And that's why, no matter how hard it is for me to talk about how Will died, I want to do it because I want you to hear what I'm saying to you when I tell you that I care about you and that your choices that you make right now and every day of your life matter, and they can and will affect you for the rest of your life. Will didn't think that he was going to die that day. Like I've mentioned to you a couple of times before, sometimes anxiety and stuff gets hard. I mean, I struggle with anxiety and stuff too, and I know that you guys have a lot of pressure. You feel like everything is coming at you, but I promise you that the better way for you to handle any of that is to reach out to a trusted adult, to go to your nurse, go to your principal, your counselor, try to talk to your parents about it. And I tell everybody that I talk to, if you can't, you can find me and I'll talk to you. I'll help you any way that I can, because I don't want you or your family to be left with the devastation that fentanyl causes. There's no such thing as a safe drug. There's nothing that you're going to get off of the internet or from anyone else that's going to help you unless you're talking to a doctor or a counselor or a psychiatrist or going through the right channels to get whatever help you think you might need. That's one of my favorite pictures of him. The one before that, That was one of my favorite pictures. It was a great memory of him on the beach one day. He was wrapped up in a towel, telling me how much he didn't need a nap. It only takes a few grains of that stuff to kill you, not a handful, not what you think, and it doesn't mean, not even just a junkie or running the streets or living wildly. You guys can be at a party and somebody can offer you something and it can literally end your life. You don't need to go too far. You don't even need to take a whole pill. It can happen the first time or the only time that you try something. So, if you're ever overwhelmed, and I'm going to say this again because I'm very passionate about mental health too. If you're ever overwhelmed or you're anxious or you're stressed or you're tempted to just take the edge off, reach for a person and not a pill. There are people that can help you to stay alive, but there's no guarantee that you will if you take a pill or do drugs or even vapes and stuff. It's literally in almost everything. Now, I have encountered many families that have lost their children because of this epidemic. And they have lost their children not maybe from a whole pill, maybe from cocaine or something else that they were trying to escape something else, and it ended their life. Then vapes and stuff now, so sharing a vape with somebody in the bathroom is not something that I would do if I were you, or any vape, period, because you don't know where it came from, you don't know what's in it. I know that there have been some incidents here at some of our high schools recently where kids have had to be transported. I hear that from some of my other nurses at the schools, because they've hit a vape that had something in it that they didn't know was in it. And they've had to go to the hospital. Luckily, they lived, but it's just not worth it. And to the friends that are in the room, if you see something, say something. Because you might have the power to save somebody else's life. I want to thank you guys for being so attentive and listening and giving me a chance to share about Will. Because sharing about him keeps his memory alive, and if it helps one of you guys to make a better choice or to think twice before you do something, then his death was not in vain. And I don't want my beautiful boy to be forgotten, ever. So thank you for listening, and go make good choices in memory of Will.
All right, does anybody have any questions? I think we have some time if anybody has any questions. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am. Do you have a question? Yeah, I think we're going to do that at the end. Is that okay? Does anybody have any questions? Any curiosities? Okay. Well, again, thank you. I appreciate your attention, and I appreciate your school letting us here to speak with you. And just remember what you heard today. It's really important. You got to make good decisions about your life. So hopefully you'll have some information with you now to help you with that decision. I hope all of you are safe. Good luck, and thank you again.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the part of the presentation that really struck me, you guys are growing up, it's dangerous. When I was your age, there was a lot of things floating around. Snoop Dogg was out, so if you know what I mean. So when I was your age, but some people experimented with those things, and there were no real long-lasting consequences. Nowadays, like they said, it's in marijuana, it's in vapes, it's in everything. Somebody passes you a vape at a party, passes you something laced, and that can impact you and change your lives, your family's lives for the rest of your lives. So you really have to be cautious. Like you said, if it didn't come from a doctor with your name on the bottle, don't take it. It's dangerous. If somebody passes you, because as he was saying, they advertise these things to kids. They make it look like Skittles or gummy bears or gummy worms. Somebody passes you something, you thinking it's innocent, and it's something totally different. You have to be so cautious and so aware of your surroundings. I quiz my daughter. She's in college. I quiz her every day about what do you do if somebody does this? What do you do if somebody does that? I have to. I lost a little cousin to this. So, again, I thank you guys for coming in with your presentation. I hope you guys got something out of it. In a few moments, we're going to go ahead and dismiss you guys back to your second block class.